The culmination of the Infinity Saga saw our favorite Avengers face off against the might of Thanos, who previously bested Earth's mightiest heroes on the quest to collect the fabled Infinity Stone. Throughout what was the single largest battle in the MCU to date, we see Thanos and his forces take on the roster of MCU heroes yet again, wielding an iconic twin-bladed sword. A sword that is not in Infinity War. On the surface, it had originally seemed as if this weapon simply acted as a replacement for the Infinity Gauntlet, seeing as Thanos used his diverse collection of stones throughout the duration of Infinity War, and the sword was noticeably nowhere to be found. Recently, however, a popular fan theory emerged which could indicate the fate of the sword was actually far more crucial to the plot of Infinity War than we had previously been led to believe, and it might depict his siege of Nidavellir in a whole new light. So stick with us today, watchers of the Marvel Multiverse, and let's explore the possibility that Thanos actually had to sacrifice his sword in order to collect the Infinity Stones in the first place, and that Eckardt might have put up more resistance against the Mad Titan and his army than we were previously led to believe. Throughout the course of his life, Thanos' blade has been one of his most trusted weapons, as he carries this sword across many of his conquests all the way up until the year 2014, where we last saw the sword in action. From here, there are two key details that are important to bring to attention about the sword. Number one, we know that the sword was made of the most powerful compounds in the known galaxy, as has been confirmed by the Russo brothers, and it's widely accepted that this blade was most likely made of Uru, the very same metal used by the gods of Asgard in their armada of weapons, including the likes of Stormbreaker. This already makes it inherently formidable and nigh indestructible, rivaling even Stormbreaker and Mjolnir in terms of raw durability, and most importantly, its ability to channel energy. But more on that in just a moment. Number 2, we know that Thanos had to commission the construction of the Infinity Gauntlet from the dwarves of Nidavellir, and thanks to Eckart's dialogue during this scene, it is stated that Thanos' commission of this weapon via the use of force. Specifically, Eckardt states that he thought by doing what Thanos asked, he would have saved his friends on the Forge.
300 dwarves left on this ring. I thought if I did what he asked, they'd be safe.
Indicating that the dwarves were still alive when Thanos requested the gauntlet be made. Shortly thereafter, we know that he and his forces threatened Eckardt and forced him to forge the weapon before ultimately killing the other dwarves of the Forge, taking Eckart's hands in the process and leaving him with the completed gauntlet. It stands to reason that Eckardt, who likely knew the destructive capabilities of this creation, might have resisted Thanos initially, even if he doesn't have the physical ability to face Thanos in battle. Eckardt states his own concern for making a weapon this destructive.
A device capable of harnessing the power of the stones.
And if he sought to preserve the lives of those he cared about, then he might have made some excuses to prolong or delay the gauntlet's creation. Even if he did not outright refuse, it's logical to conclude that he might have searched for other ways to stall, get out of the deal entirely, or make Thanos believe that his request was impossible for any number of possible reasons. One such excuse might have been that he did not have the available materials, be it because the entire supply of Uru was already spoken for, or there was simply a shortage of already rare material. Any number of potential reasons could have stalled Thanos long enough for Eckardt to send word to Asgard to send reinforcements against the Mad Titan and his armada of soldiers, and all Eckardt needed for Thanos was just to leave for a few short days. If Eckardt told Thanos to fetch some more Uru, then instead of leaving to collect more materials, however, or using any show of power in order to force Eckart's hand, Thanos might have simply given him the sword and demanded that he make the gauntlet from the very blade that had served beside him for so many years, and was already within his grasp. This would have backed Eckardt into a corner without a plausible excuse or a follow-up lie, and from here, the only means of resistance might have been physical force, which he knew Eckardt was not capable of. Even when Thanos is first beginning his quest, he still keeps his armor, and only after gathering 2 Infinity Stones does he discard the chest plate and helmet from his previous appearances. This shows that he is seeking a sense of protection from the stones before he ultimately decides to abandon his suit. If Thanos still doesn't feel adequately protected after collecting the Power Stone, then why would he abandon the sword without abandoning the rest of his armor? After all, he only exchanges protection for mobility after completing 1/3 of his quest, and utilizing both these Uru weapons together would likely be the most surefire way to ensure his victory, especially seeing as he nearly loses on Titan against the likes of Iron Man, Strange, and their allies. It's also interesting to note that the only time we see the gauntlet and the sword together isn't even in the main mainline universe. In Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness, we see Charles Xavier show our Doctor Strange exactly what happened in their universe with Thanos. On Earth 838, they managed to defeat Thanos with the Book of Vishanti, and on Thanos' corpse, we can see both the gauntlet as well as his sword. In the mainline MCU, however, we do not ever see the sword and the Uru gauntlet share the screen together, which seems to be a very unique detail added. Since Eitri required a highly specific metal capable of channeling immense amounts of energy, it might have justified Thanos sacrificing his precious sword, which may have been capable of harnessing this amount of necessary energy, even though he himself has never been shown to use the sword in this way. This means that Thanos might have very well known that Eitri was lying, and from here he had a few options as to how he might have been able to handle the situation. The obvious solution is an immediate show of force by threatening someone Eitri cares about, which is the very same approach that he takes numerous times throughout the course of his quest for the stone. He first threatens and tortures Thor in order to force Loki into handing over the Tesseract, much like how he later does the same to Nebula, prompting Gamora to give up the location of the Soul Stone on Vormir. These situations, however, are different because he is seeking information rather than a physical product, and each of these characters are fully aware of the consequences they'd face by giving this information over to Thanos. This leaves Thanos with no other choice than to resort to these methods, but with Eitri, he might have had a better way to force the Infinity Gauntlet to be forged without resorting to force. If he destroyed Eitri's lie with a single gesture, then he would have left Eitri in a highly precarious state with the lives of his co-workers and friends on the line. By this time, Eitri likely believed that this was the only way to save his people, and that he had to forge the gauntlet, though he would ultimately come to find out that Thanos was not being truthful.
And he killed everyone anyway.
It also implies that Eitri's lie might have been the direct catalyst for Thanos' decision to destroy the Forge. This is interesting because we know that as ruthless as Thanos is, he is still a man of his word and that he does not lie. If Eitri believed doing what Thanos asked would save him, then he might have had a tangible reason to believe so, one which Thanos only broke due to Eitri's own lies which preceded their arrangement. We know that Thanos wasn't concerned with the information regarding the gauntlet being leaked, because otherwise he would not have left Eitri alive to tell the story of how he constructed the gauntlet in the first place. This would mean that if the gauntlet was constructed from the same material as his sword, then the sword remained a crucial part of Thanos' quest even after repurposing it for his mission. And we believe that Thanos did in fact sacrifice his sword, likely made of Uru, to create the Infinity Gauntlet made of the same materials, revealing that Thanos may have had his sword with him this entire time. But anyway, watchers, what do you think of this theory? Do you believe that the Infinity Gauntlet was forged from Thanos' sword? And if not, then why do you think he abandoned his sword before abandoning the rest of his armor? As always, my friends, thank you so much for watching and continuing to support the channel. Hit that subscribe button to assemble and join our team, and have a great day.